to go inside. I think it's real different when a person doesn't have a choice of where they've got to be and what they've got to do.
I think we raised some awareness on campus. Probably not as much as I would have expected or would have wanted, but we did raise some, which is good.
State Auditor Arnie Carlson blames it on the legislature and the governor and then every level of government. He says each is spending beyond its means. A 53-page report released by Carlson today says Minnesota taxpayers will wake up some morning and be told by political leaders of two choices, either enormous tax increases or sharp spending cuts. The report shows combined state and local spending since 1980 growing 57% faster than inflation, 35% faster than Minnesotans' personal income, and 42% faster than the Minnesota economy. Despite high taxes and spending, the report says the state is falling in key areas, including education, and dropping in national standings for elementary, secondary, and higher education. And the state ranks low in police and fire expenditures. Carlson's warning is about what could come next. Minnesota faced serious budget trouble 3 years ago with record revenue shortfalls in a non-recession. When the next national recession comes, it could throw the state into a panic. The report recommends a spending cap and a public commission to study the problem. Dave Jench, TV6 News.
The Soviets and Americans sat down at the table in Duluth today, but this discussion was not about nuclear arms, but medical practices. The Duluth Clinic was playing host to one of the members of the Petrozavos delegation visiting in Duluth this week. The deputy chairman of the executive committee of the city Soviet asked clinic neurosurgeon William Hamango about medical costs.
Okay, I have this question.
Все-таки платят люди за то, чтобы в поликлинику.
Do people have to pay to come to this clinic?
Это платная форма обслуживания.
Do you have the paid form of health delivery?
We have several forms that are in effect, actually.
The visit continued with a tour of the clinic. First stop, medical records, where the Soviet representative was clearly impressed with the clinic's computer system.
Currently, there are over 500,000 medical records.
Сейчас 500,000, yes. 500 тысяч примерно.
Other stops on the tour included the clinic's X-ray and radiology departments, the lab, and computerized EKG. Today's visit will not only include a tour, but later on a discussion of medical exchange possibilities between the two Soviet cities. At the Duluth Clinic, Steve Karstian, TV6 News.
Well, I was going down the trench to get another pipe, and before I knew it happened, the bank caved in and it pushed me up against the other side of the bank. And I yelled to the guy that was working with me in the trench to help me, and they all started to get the machinery and shovel me out.
Yeah, the price is the same whether you walk or ride.
Next fall, these elementary students will be having class in the Silver Bay High School. Although the Lake Superior School District is not in the hole now, it says it could be $500,000 to $600,000 in the red next year if something is not done soon. Last night, the board voted to close the Silver Bay Elementary School. It will mean losing all the elementary extracurricular activities, the Head Start program, the Community Education Preschool program, and 3 jobs in the high school. Teachers are worried about the children's education.
School is built for their size, and if you're a little child, you look at the world in different ways than a grown-up person.
Everyone says they are disappointed, especially at a time when Silver Bay has high hopes of some new developments economically. A fishery just opened, a veterans home is coming, and of course everyone is hoping Reserve will reopen. Some asked the board to wait before voting, but that didn't happen.
I would say this, that if Cypress Mining makes an announcement within the next several weeks that we will have community people addressing the board on just that question.
Possibly reversing the decision, maybe?
Yes, I would say so.
The entire district will suffer from cuts.
Financially, I think that the people on the Two Arbors end said we can't wait anymore.
Kaiser says her concern now is to try and help the community keep a positive attitude about moving the elementary here to the high school. She says the decision has been made and she hopes that everyone will work together to make the best of it. In Silver Bay, Patty Baker, TV6 News.
At first, there were only 2, but in minutes, the East High School gym was filled with students delivering Christmas gifts for the elderly. Students received a slip of paper from the St. Louis County Social Services giving the name and age of an elderly individual, a description of what that person likes to do, and a suggestion of what they'd like for Christmas. Each homeroom was assigned an elderly individual or couple to take care of. Most of them live in rural parts of the state and are unable to get to local food shelters.
One man who lives in rural Floodwood had his legs amputated when he was younger, and he lives all alone. He has no pets, and he seldom gets out to see, and he had no real contact with other relatives.
What did he want?
He wanted candy to give to his neighbor kids. He wanted a scarf and a hat and just warm clothing. It's a really good feeling because I can see these elderly people sitting down looking in their boxes and being so happy for once this year.
East High has 51 homerooms with 30 students in each class. Everyone participated, trying to brighten up a few Christmases.
Like one girl, her grandma knit a scarf for this lady, and they bring in like a bird cage for a woman who has a bird, scarves, clothing, anything that they listed on their gift suggestions.
Everyone will also receive a bag of fruit and ham, mittens and a Christmas towel, and a Christmas tin filled with candy and ornaments. Each homeroom raised about $20 for the project, but a few went beyond the call of duty.
Our homeroom was really good this year. We raised $97 just in our homeroom. And this is more we've done in the last couple of years, so hopefully it's going to turn out really well. I hope she's really happy with it.
The Christmas gifts were taken to the Salvation Army, where later today social workers picked them up and made the deliveries. In Duluth, Patty Craig, TV6 News.
Duluth police and the State Patrol were called to the Monson picket line twice today. One striking truck driver, whose hand was bandaged this afternoon, claims Mike Monson, an executive of the trucking firm, hit him with his truck this morning. Another striker claims Mike's brother Mark hit his picket sign with his truck.
We were in the process of picketing, of which we, we walked back and forth across the road. And at both occasions, neither one of the persons slowed down to yield to us or to come to a stop, of which we've been informed that they should stop at our picket line. They ran the lines, they came straight through, and with no intention of slowing down. In fact, when Mike hit me, he had dropped the gear in the truck and was accelerating at a good rate of speed.
And I had the sign over my shoulder, and when I walked by, the sign had hit his mirror, and he still didn't stop or anything.
The strikers say they intend to file charges against the Monsons, but nothing had reached the St. Louis County Attorney's office late this afternoon. Monson officials are taping activities at the picket line from across the street, but refuse to let us review the tape. Neither brother would agree to appear on camera either, but did talk to us by phone. Mark denied he or Mike hit any of the strikers this morning and said it was the strikers who were hitting their trucks with picket signs. Mark said strikers aren't supposed to block incoming traffic, and if they choose to do so, someone's bound to get hurt. Mike also said the strikers shouldn't be in the way of trucks coming in, and said if they walk in front of trucks, it's their own fault. He refused to say if he struck Chuck Olson this morning. The truck drivers have been on strike for 2.5 weeks. This is the first time these kind of accusations have been made. Julie Howard, TV6 News.
This is the second and last delivery of Christmas Coke in Duluth. Spokesmen for Midwest bottlers say they've been told there just isn't any more available. At Highland Super Value, like all the other Duluth grocery stores, Christmas Coke has been selling so well they can't keep it on the shelf.
Oh, it's been selling really great. We got 25 cases in about 3 weeks ago, and we sold out in like 2 hours.
In December of 1923, Coca-Cola obtained a patent for this bottle design. In that year, all patents were issued on Tuesdays. It was coincidence that Christmas in 1923 fell on a Tuesday, causing all the original patent bottles to be stamped with December 25th, 1923. That date made it a natural for a Christmas revival.
The reason we came back with this classic Coke, or classic tradition for 1988, was that it is nostalgia and it's remembrance of the old days.
Coca-Cola limited the supply of Christmas Coke to make it worth more to collectors. It gave the product to the distributors that asked first. Banner said he was offered Christmas Coke 6 months ago and saw it as a hot item during the holidays. He says his expectations for sales have been more than met in our region, and he's received calls from all over the nation asking to buy the collector Coke. Highland Super Value has about 100 of these 6-packs left from yesterday's delivery of over 300. Spokesmen say if you want to get a hold of this Christmas classic, you better move fast. In Duluth, Barbara Riles, TV6 News.
While the tragedy in Armenia is far from Duluth, the desire to care is not. Today, St. Mary's Hospital, the Duluth Clinic, Miller Dwan Hospital, and Northern Drug all donated equipment and supplies to help run some 20 kidney dialysis machines that are being sent to Armenia from the Twin Cities.
They're sending enough equipment for 3,000 dialysis runs or different procedures, and with the 20 machines, I would imagine that with that they should be able to care for roughly 80 to 100 people a day who may have acute renal failure or acute kidney shutdown from the injuries received in the earthquake.
The people suffering in Armenia should receive help from this equipment within the next few days. Dr. Maddie says it is far more advanced than what is currently available to the victims. He said it could mean a difference between life and death.
Certainly it could. I think if people don't get the appropriate therapy, they will die from complications of kidney failure. And this particular type of problem generally is one that once the acute episode is over, resolves and there's a 80-90% chance of excellent recovery if the appropriate equipment is available.
In Duluth, Patty Baker, TV6 News.
The snowplows broke out early this morning. Northland residents woke up to anywhere from 2 inches to 1 foot of snow. Morning commuters faced snow-covered and slippery roads, but by mid-morning, city plows had downtown under control and had moved out onto the rural roads. Everywhere you looked, there were people working hard to get rid of the white stuff. Although most people spent the day snow blowing and shoveling, the kids in Proctor were enjoying a day off from school. Proctor's 5 elementary schools are out of town on country roads, and the county plows just couldn't get to them. But the students didn't seem to mind.
Today, what are you going to do today?
I'm going to have fun.
Cold. A lot of work and fun missing school. 6'5". Yeah, it's pretty fun. Something to do. We need a snow day.
Don't expect the snow to disappear overnight, and anyway, at least it means we can expect a white Christmas. In Proctor, Patty Craig, TV6 News.
Last year, consumers filled up their tanks to the tune of 70 billion gallons of gasoline. The federal government took just over 9 cents a gallon each time we went to the pumps. Federal spending and the growing budget deficit have been a concern of Congress, and gasoline users may be forced into helping reduce the budget by paying more for gasoline. There are plans to increase the national gas tax by as much as 50 cents a gallon. The 50 cents is extreme, but petroleum analysts put the increase closer to 30 cents a gallon, and no one will be able to escape the crunch.
It's not only going to affect the price that you pay for gasoline, it's also going to affect the price you pay for anything that is delivered over the road, because those people who drive trucks and firms that drive trucks and do deliveries pay gasoline taxes.
Climbing consumer prices could bring the economy back onto the inflation track. Studies on the Capitol Hill plan show inflation looming if Congress ups the gas tax.
One study shows that a 30-cent gas tax increase would put nearly 600,000 people out of work in this country by the year 1989. And then you'd also be increasing the inflation rate at the same time by 1%, just because of the cost of fuel going up.
If Congress makes the move, the state won't be far behind. It will have to raise its gasoline tax to help offset money it will lose from the federal government. The increase translates into state drivers paying more than $600 million additionally each year for gas. There isn't one concrete proposal yet, but Congress is expected to take a hard look at the price hike next January. Brian Allen, TV6 News.
In no circumstance do we see an increase in claims. In no circumstance. Virtually every medical diagnosis is being made today. Virtually every medical treatment, every medical prescription is done by computer code, by a digital code. You can look up on the payment records and you will know the medical condition of any individual in this country. So it's important that that data be kept confidential. A notary public and clergy coverage. In no circumstance do we see an increase in claims. In no circumstance concerning a so-called claims explosion. If that is the case...
2 years ago, the Experimental Aircraft Association of Duluth brought in the U.S. Airways Concorde to headline the air show. That show surpassed all expectations, drawing more than 40,000 spectators. City officials are hoping a visit by the Blue Angels will make for an even bigger show.
We think that this is as exciting as the first show will be.
2 pilots with the Blue Angels team flew into Duluth last night to scope out the situation. They said today the area does meet their requirements, but the final decision as to whether they come will be made by the Secretary of Defense.
Well, we've been working really hard on this particular group for the past 6 years, so we're really excited from an EAA standpoint to be able to get them to this point.
The pilot said if the team comes to the air show, Duluth would be in for quite a treat.
We go up, we generally work into 2 groups. There's a diamond, which is 4 airplanes flying in very close formation. Most of the time when they're in front of the crowd, they'll be at 36 inches of separation between the aircraft flying and airspeeds ranging up to 400 or 500 miles an hour.
Though no spectator has ever been injured during a show, the precision flying can be very dangerous.
In our 42-year history, we have lost 22 aircraft and a few pilots. We have not had anything in the last 5 years.
The Blue Angels' basic mission is recruiting. The pilot said the decision on where the team performs is decided largely on how recruiting has been going in various areas. Spokesman said naval recruiting has been down in our area recently, so Duluth stands a very good chance of hosting the flying team. Barbara Riles, TV6 News.
From 1980 to 1986, Minnesota has lagged behind the average in the United States. You'll notice that Minnesota also is lagging behind Minnesota. Measure them. 2, every other institution known to man operates under the philosophy that you buy that which you can afford. Government operates under a unique philosophy, which is that it buys what it wants. It can't do that any longer. Between now and the year 1995.
The brand new Hardee's in West Duluth is the latest accomplishment of Biga Affiliates, a Duluth company owned by Jan Biga, her daughter Kay, and another daughter who's in California. This is the second Hardee's they've decided to build, and this one has a very unusual feature, a playroom with 10,000 plastic balls and a carousel. The carousel was Kay's idea. A 29-year-old mother of one, she now believes more businesses should be geared toward children.
Well, to be honest with you, 2 years ago, I would have probably put a meeting room in. I have a different attitude about children and restaurants, and I think probably having a child myself has made me much more in tune with developing things for children.
Biga Affiliates owns 10 businesses, many of them restaurants and motels in northern Minnesota and Wisconsin. The women started the company in 1985, 1 year after Jan's husband and the girl's father died. He had bought many of the businesses, but several have been acquired since his death. Jan was always talking with her husband about his business dealings, but was actually trained as a nurse.
And I really, in thinking back, attribute a lot of working in business to the training that I had at the hospital, because I was what was called a float night nurse, and I had to be very organized in order to complete a shift working with all brand new patients. So I think that was very good training.
The two say they've encountered no sexism in the business world and credit the confidence they have in what they're doing. While they are no-nonsense businesswomen, they still take time out to enjoy themselves.
We work very hard at having fun times as a family that are totally separate from the business, and Kay and I have, or all of us have taken trips together, and we find that we tend to leave our business at home and enjoy ourselves as families so that we can keep that separation a little bit.
In Duluth, Julie Howard, TV6 News.
That anyone has just sat down in the road and said no to this. I suppose people will be debating forever who did it. But the main thing that we can say, and I think we can say it for a fact, or with reasonable confidence, is that we don't know who killed JFK. Oswald may have been involved. There seems to be now a strong indication that he was set up, as he said, that he was a patsy. But as to who did it, we have theories spanning the spectrum. There's one group of people that thinks that Castro inspired the assassination.
Thank you very much. We at Explorations are very proud to get this award. Our goal when we opened the store was to create a real...
We're concerned about raising children who will grow to be productive, contributing members of society, who develop problem-solving skills with which they can cope with conflict in constructive, nonviolent ways.
Well, to be honest with you, 2 years ago, I would have probably put a meeting room in. I have a different attitude about children and restaurants, and I think probably having a child myself has made me much more in tune with developing things for children.
Community.
Relief supplies for the more than 500,000 victims of last week's earthquake in Soviet Armenia are rolling in. Minnesota's contribution to the relief effort has been unbelievable. This week, the state's 72 National Guard armories opened their doors as drop-off points for people wanting to help out. It is estimated close to 150,000 tons of clothing and other supplies have been collected statewide at the armories. Locally, the donations have been steady.
Comparing to the earthquake relief that we had a couple of months ago, it's going really well, and we're collecting a lot more stuff than what we did at that time.
The National Guard has collected more items than it can handle and will put a hold on items at 3 o'clock tomorrow. It will still be accepting financial donations, but has to move the supplies out now.
The state has notified us that they have about all they can handle right now, and they want to move it out of the armories and then out of the state and out to the West Coast, and then they may open it back up again later on in the week for us to start collecting again.
Today, close to 50 tons of medical supplies from Minnesota left New York heading for Armenia, and supplies donated locally won't be too far behind. Brian Allen, TV6 News.
The volunteers altogether put in around 20,000 hours a year. And if you would break that down into salaried people, you know, it is something that wouldn't be feasible. So without the volunteers, there would not be a depot.
This has been a bad year for furnace fires in Minnesota. 21 deaths reported already, and winter isn't even officially here yet. But locally, it's a different story. There hasn't been much trouble, only a half dozen or so chimney fires. Fire Marshal Dave Matson believes that says something about the local education effort.
This year has been pretty good in comparison to years in the past. Maybe the people in the Duluth area are heeding some of the information we've been trying to get out.
Matson says people should be sure and burn dry, seasoned wood. And he says they should have their chimneys clean. If a chimney has more than 1/4 of an inch of creosote built up in it, it can easily start on fire. And he says the airtight stoves on the market today build up creosote faster than open fireplaces. Furnaces are another concern. They should be cleaned because carbon monoxide gas can build up and be deadly. And finally, Matson says, check your smoke detectors. Better yet, buy your smoke detector a battery for Christmas. Steve Karsjan, TV6 News.
At one time, 4,500 people worked at Mintac. Now just 1,300 people have jobs there. The plant experienced severe cutbacks 4 to 5 years ago and endured a lockout. But now things are looking up. USX officials said they're planning to reopen at least one idle production line and maybe 2. While this will not increase jobs at the plant, it will ensure those working now that their jobs are going to be around for quite a while.
I think it's good news that Mintac sees a market that's expanding to that extent that they can hope to fill. What it does in terms of jobs, I don't know, but certainly anything that strengthens the production level in the state of Minnesota is a bigger piece of market for us, and that should, I guess you use the word stabilize, it makes our business that much more secure, I would hope, yes.
An upturn in the domestic steel industry is improving the taconite industry across the range. 38 to 40 million tons of taconite will be produced in 1988. That's up from 30 million tons in 1987. And some experts say the $40 million mark will likely be reached next year.
It looks pretty firm through the first half of the year, and I've learned looking beyond 6 months at a time is pretty risky business, but we're fairly confident we'll have a good year in '89, yes.
USX officials said today they have no timetable for reopening the line and would not say what kind of investment it will require. Julie Howard, TV6 News.
education projects, economic development projects, all that have been meaningful are lasting, as their experience is rather narrow.
He's shown his ability to implement.
I think I'm pretty intimate with the people and the issues that are of concern to northeastern Minnesota. I see the Arrowhead Regional Development Commission as an active part of moving in a positive direction the type of society and life that we enjoy here in northeastern Minnesota, and I truly am excited to have the opportunity that's been given to me.
Stick around for a while.
You bet.
Our directors have all served the agency for a lengthy period of time. Past two directors have been approximately 10 years each. And what we think will ultimately happen as a result of this grassroots movement is that the pressure will become so great, and we will refine what needs to be done to take care of the need within the country, and out of this will come national legislation of some kind.
The repaired motor for the Sundew was lowered carefully into position today, but it will be some time before the ship and her crew are fully operational.
You've got to have the angle a certain way on this, right? Which way did you come up?
For 8 months, Duluth's Coast Guard vessel has been without power. A 4-month deployment to the salt waters of the Caribbean last winter on a drug patrol mission took its toll on the cutter's engine, and in April it had to be removed for repair.
Main thing is don't let it touch anything, okay, guys?
Captain Dave Lorazel had hoped the engine would be repaired and replaced in time to break ice at the end of the shipping season, but the repairs took longer than anyone had anticipated. Now the Coast Guard will have to bring in substitute vessels to open up the harbor. The Biscayne Bay from St. Ignace, Michigan, and the Katmai Bay from Sault Ste. Marie will be brought in to clear the ice from the Duluth shipping channels and slips. During the 8 months the ship was non-operational, there was a more than 50% personnel turnover on the Sundew.
Before we can safely sail and do our full mission, we're looking at sometime in the spring before I get everybody qualified.
The captain says once the Sundew has power again, training the new crew members will be the first order of business. Barbara Riles, TV6 News.
Are concerned about
What we wanted to do, we wanted to contribute to the Salvation Army, but we didn't want to just come out and ask for a donation. So rather than do that, we're offering the people something that they can purchase for themselves, yet at the same time they're donating to the Salvation Army.
And punished, the offender ought to pay back the victim. Now, traditionally, the system has just not treated the victim properly. They've treated the victim as a piece of evidence instead of a human being who has been hurt and harmed by a criminal offender. And the system has not been cognizant of the needs of the victim. And so we have to do that. We have to be cognizant of it. So
Without Christmas lights, it just wouldn't seem like Christmas. They put that feeling of magic and miracles into the air and brighten up neighborhoods with the holiday spirit. Today, the top 8 winners of Duluth's lighting contest received their prizes and a handshake of gratitude from the mayor.
Good job.
Close to 70 homes entered the competition, and narrowing it down wasn't an easy job.
On some of the decisions, it was close. I think the top prizes, though, were clearly winners. But once you moved into the honorable mentions, those were close.
The displays were judged on visual impact, originality, creativity, neatness, and the overall theme. The winners say they put a lot of thought into it, but not necessarily to win the competition.
It's really a lot of fun, especially with the people coming around to view it. That in itself is our reward. We're not going to be entering the contest next year, but we will be decorating. We've got a whole new theme next year, something really new.
Just the holiday spirit it creates to all the fun in the neighborhood and everybody that comes by.
In Duluth, Patty Craig, TV6 News.
Yes. We did not need 2/3.
Now the yes votes to pass this motion is 86, and the no votes are 39, so the motion has passed.
Clarify the vote required to pass was based on 2.
The real estate market is particularly dependent on the rest of the economy. When times are tough, selling houses is tough. But the real estate market has been on the rise for the last 6 years or so in the Duluth area, and many experts predict it will remain strong for 1989, especially if people start moving to northeastern Minnesota instead of out of it.
I'm anticipating that more people will. The Duluth Clinic and St. Luke's, Miller Dwan all seem to be increasing and putting into place exciting and innovative new programs. The Lake Superior paper industry is on the move with expansion. U.S. Steel in Minnesota looks like it'll call lines back to work per yesterday's announcements, and the economy looks good overall, and that's always good for the real estate industry.
The retail industry is also strong, but some experts fear there aren't enough shoppers to go around if much more expansion takes place. They say the consumer is benefiting by the current situation because each retailer is forced to provide the best product at the lowest price in order to survive with all the competition. Strong competition is also forcing the banking industry to take a second look at itself. In days gone by, banks competed with banks, but now they're feeling the heat of credit unions like never before. Banks, like retailers, must provide more and newer services to keep people coming back. While that's good news for the customer, it means stress for the industry.
From the Kirsch side is the manager trying to deal with that increased competition, and with those many more services, it's a difficulty in terms of our employees, more training, and they have to be more skilled in defining and helping our customers pick the products that meet their needs.
So as 1988 comes to a close, it appears overall life in the Northland will be pretty good for another year. In Duluth, Julie Howard, TV6 News.
The Duluth Fire Department has been very busy with arson calls the past 6 months, involving numerous cars and even some home fires. Many of the calls have been in the area past 61st Avenue West in West Duluth.
We've had some cars that were just parked in a lot or something that someone was probably working on, or we have cars parked in alleys, behind garages, where people have, neighbors have called up, people themselves call up, and their car is totally involved.
Fire Marshal Dave Matson says the fires happen sporadically, but seem to come in bunches when they do occur. He says the best thing people can do is keep their cars off the streets.
When they come home with their car, if they do have a garage for their car, to park it in the garage, lock the garage. if you do park it on the street or in the alley, make sure that it's locked, and try to keep it so that it's in a well-lighted area where it is obvious to either yourself or to your neighbors.
Matson says they can also report anything suspicious. There is an arson hotline, and you can call collect with any information, 612-645-8882, or you can call the Duluth Fire Department. The hotline can pay up to $1,000 for information.
Break up this basin, break up, and this basin, and the cross channel we need to break up.
The captain of the Coast Guard cutter Sundu outlined the areas in the Duluth Superior Bay and channels that need immediate attention. Ships are having trouble getting in and out of slips due to heavy ice, and any delays at this late date in the shipping season can be critical. The Duluth cutter Sundu is out of commission until its newly repaired engine is reinstalled. The Biscayne Bay from St. Ignace, Michigan has been brought in to do the work the Sundu would normally perform.
There's a special request from a couple vessels with reports of 12 inches of ice in Duluth Harbor. And with the Sundu and operative right now, the 140s, like this ship, will be up here trying to clear the ice to help the shipping.
The captain of the Sundu went along to help direct the Biscayne Bay to the areas needing the most attention. While out in the harbor, he discovered some potentially serious problems.
Found a buoy right behind us here that was missing its flasher and lantern assembly, which probably she got washed down under the ice and broke off. And there's another buoy missing altogether up there, a lighted buoy, critical turn buoy, that is just gone. It's either sunk or under the ice, trapped under the ice somewhere.
But the Biscayne Bay won't be able to help with those problems because while out today, it too developed mechanical problems that have put it out of commission, at least temporarily. Captain Sinclair said at this point he doesn't know how long the repairs will take. The Coast Guard has called in yet another cutter to help out. The Katmai Bay from Sault Ste. Marie is expected to arrive this weekend or early Monday. Barbara Riles, TV6 News.
The Fond du Lac Chippewa Indian tribe was hoping to get a head start on Minnesota's lottery by starting one of their own next Tuesday. A few weeks ago, a representative from a Wisconsin company operating Lotto Oneida on a reservation near Green Bay talked to Fond du Lac about starting a lottery on the reservation in Cloquet and at the casino in downtown Duluth. Now comes word that a lottery may not start here after all. U.S. Attorney Jerome Arnold says both state and federal laws prohibit the tribe and Fond du Lac from starting one. Fond du Lac apparently believed it was free to start a lottery since Minnesota voters gave their okay to one in the November election. But Arnold says the voters' approval of that constitutional amendment only authorized the state legislature to create one. Arnold says no one can conduct a lottery until the state of Minnesota makes it legal to do so. Officials with both the tribe and casino were not available for comment today. Federal officials were supposed to notify the group of their violation if a lottery is started. Lotto Oneida, which would award $25,000 a week from dollar ticket sales, was one of a number of ways Fond du Lac officials had hoped to turn around the financial condition of the casino. But now with its future up in the air, many people are wondering what Fond du Lac will do next. In Duluth, Andrew Wittenberg, TV6 News.
The lobby of the Duluth City Hall came to life this morning when flocks of third graders made their way to the halls of city government to lend a hand decorating a 2-story tall Christmas tree. The third graders were from various Duluth schools and have been working for a while to make homemade decorations for the tree.
Well, they do all this decorating on their own time, so it's kind of a volunteer effort for them. And they have fun at it. And it just is kind of something special that they want to take on as much as anything.
Santa Claus took time out from his holiday rush to stop by and see how the kids have been behaving and to see if workers in City Hall have been naughty or nice.
I like all the kids and all the people there, the kids mostly. They all want everything they want, you know, but Santa Claus got to go back to North Pole and get some more, you know.
The kids were treated to cookies and juice and sang Christmas carols. Some even took the time to wait in line for an autograph from the man who runs the city, and it was obvious to all the kids were enjoying themselves.
You having fun today?
Yes.
What's the best part?
Eating
exciting.
It took less than 30 minutes to get the tree shaped up into the way it should be looking for this time of year. And once the work was done, it was time to settle in for one more chorus of Old Christmas Tree. Brian Allen, TV6 News.
No sense in estimating it. It's not insured. Doesn't make a difference. It's a loss.
I hope so. I'm employed by Chris, so I hope that we can continue and make this place into something nice.
Filled with the Christmas spirit, children from the Nettleton Magnet School today gathered on Superior Street for a special purpose. The horse-drawn wagon was ready for the younger children, and the older ones were prepared to march behind in efforts to reach their goal, each of the 622 on-street parking meters in downtown Duluth. While parading down Superior Street, the children explained they have been hand-painting or coloring the paper bags for weeks now. They, along with some family help, will be placing the bags over each parking meter. It will signal free parking in the downtown for the full week before Christmas. Each individually designed bag carries a message of goodwill.
I colored a clown with floating balloons. I drew reindeers on it, and I made it kind of brownish and stuff. A snowman and a sun. Some kind of a creature with googly feet and a weird body with little antennas with circles. To a dog with a background of bones.
This project was initiated by an art specialist at the Magnet School. She says it symbolizes the season, a time to love and care.
Well, this is the time of the year where we're families, and family affairs are important to celebrate at this time of the year. So we have our children involved, our parents involved, the school, the PTA, the city is involved in this. And so it's just the time of the year.
Despite today's cold, the children finished the chore completely. After Christmas, they will each remove their own decorated bag. Following today's gesture of kindness, the children were then invited to the Duluth Depot for special treats and a tour of the train museum. In downtown Duluth, Patty Baker, TV6 News.
From all over the neighborhood, from Barnum, Wright, Cromwell, everywhere. We don't turn down any kids, any child that comes up to the door. We accept them in here. They're always welcome.
Shoppers are hurrying about, hoping to find the presents they still have left to buy. The stores are packed with anxious gift hunters, trying to beat the calendar. The chore of Christmas shopping is not an easy one. There's so much to choose from that making a decision can be tough, not to mention just getting in the doors.
Well, there's no doubt there's a lot of people here, hard to even get a parking place, but we've been doing okay, and the prices seem about comparable to me.
But it seems the decision-making process gets a bit easier when shopping for the little people that enjoy Christmas the most, because all kids love all toys.
Cross 4, 4, fat 5. What letter makes a fat sound?
We narrowed it down to the final few gifts, and toys seem to be the easiest way to fill out a Christmas list.
Mr. Game Show, the man who needs no introduction, only batteries.
We're just shopping for children this year. Just children. It's a children's Christmas.
Holiday shoppers definitely have their work cut out for them over the next few days. The countdown is on, and soon St. Nick will be climbing down the chimney. Despite the crowds, the long lines, and the hassles of trying to find a parking space, there's always one place you can go to get away from it all. Patty Craig, TV6 News.
Christmas shopping this year in the Northland is on a good trend. Retailers are reporting increases in sales over the same holiday period last year and are expecting to finish the year with plenty of green in their coffers. Retail sales are off nationally this year. Some parts of the country are reporting sales down by as much as 15%. Here in the Northland, it's a different story.
Even throughout the Minneapolis district that we compete against, we're certainly holding our own and doing much better than last year.
Like the Limited, other stores in the Miller Hill Mall are reporting sales up, and people are spending money. Some retailers say it will be one of their better years sales-wise. Last Christmas season was generous to local retailers, but with 6 shopping days left until the big day, stores are seeing their sales rise.
This year we've been pretty happy. It's been pretty decent. I guess we can't complain because we've had a lot of good sales this year for Christmas, so it's been really good.
Doing better than last year?
I think we're doing a little bit better than last year even, yeah.
Some retailers say one possible reason sales are doing so well in the area is due to the local economy holding its own. Northland residents have seen a generous 1988, and local retailers are benefiting in a big way. Brian Allen, TV6 News.
Buoys, and the ice is only going to get thicker and harder to break through for the mariners, so we'll be breaking ice just about every day in addition to working buoys every day until we get done.
Headlight problems.
Toast, man, we're toast! That's going to become a habit soon.
Be kind of nice to be able to bring it. What are we watching here?
Shoot the sheet and you'll find out. Shoot it.
So what seems to be the problem?
Presents for the kids. That's one aspect of it. A lot of the kids are you know, from families or broken homes that don't have the opportunity to have a, you know, Christmas present. So we help provide those. And there's things for the adults as well, gloves for the men, and so we help provide some things that are helpful for the winter.
Designed. And notice that we're increasing in Hispanics rapidly. Mediation. In many cases, it might be better to call it. Finally, but we think today in our Technical Institute system that we probably have at least 1,000 welfare reform students that have been handed over to the Technical Institute system to provide education for the welfare recipients. Is impacted by, and we need help from the legislature in that area. It is not enough to run these technical institutes the same way with this student mix that we did back when we had 18, 19, 20-year-old students. This population has been in the system for quite a few years, and so that I'm not surprised that isn't increasing, and this has been in there. But what I am surprised at is this increase.
The proposed carpet mill would be located right next to the Mesabi Community College and would be the first one of its kind in Minnesota. The 200,000 square feet plant would also border one of the nicest neighborhoods in town. And while people in the area are all for economic development, they don't think the current site under consideration is the best one.
Well, I am concerned, Julie. It's just a few hundred yards away, and it's directly upwind. You know, the dominant wind's from the northwest, and that's directly northwest of our residential neighborhood. So if there is any smell associated with it, it would certainly come right this way.
Right now, the land is zoned residential, but the 5-member Planning and Zoning Board will decide tonight whether to recommend to change it to industrial. The president of that board says he'll vote for the change because hundreds of new jobs could be created.
One of the advantages I like to see is that we're going to improve the workforce in the city of Virginia, in the surrounding area, because I don't suppose all of them will be coming from Virginia, but it's work that is needed around here.
The IRRB is negotiating the financial package. They would not comment on camera, but said a lot of work still needs to be done before any agreement is reached that will bring a carpet mill to Virginia. In Virginia, Julie Howard, TV6 News.
At 22 times earnings, where the average. We have been following the stock for a long time, and we've been talking. There was always a possibility of a merger or takeover. So those people that owned it have done very well. All they have to do now is either sell it at the market, and/or wait for the cash tender offer to go through. The bid is equivalent. The $60 bid is equivalent to 22 times estimated fiscal. Let's say for $30, and I said, hey, if things work out well, maybe in 3 to 5 years, this stock could double. Then it doubles in a month or 2 months. No, you're going to punt, right?
It's a benefit to all the taxpayers within my district, specifically in the Iron Range area, is that because there is that about almost 38.9% of the usage of the county jail, that we have a facility that is located within our region. And then the taxes that are paid are shared by all people in the area.
And there appears to be money at this time to make this move, and that's basically why I'm for it. Our facility here is a clean facility. The prisoners are well cared for and well kept. It has some negative things. We're on the second floor. I don't particularly like that. And the biggest thing we'd gain is observation by the jailer.